Welcome to Proverbs 13 for day 13. This is Kris and Mikey. He's going to throw stuff out on the floor while I read. Okay? Hand me things, stuff like that, right? So we're going to start with verse 1. A wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. That's right. He doesn't listen. A man shall eat well by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the unfaithful feeds on violence. He says that right there. He who guards his mouth preserves his life, but he who opens wide his lips shall have destruction. There's a note on that right here. You have not mastered self-control if you do not control what you say. Words can cut and destroy. James recognized this truth when he stated, "The tongue is a little member and boasts great things," in James 3:5. If you want to be self-controlled, begin with your tongue. Stop and think before you react or speak. If you can control this small but powerful member, you can control the rest of your body. It's important to remember. The soul of the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. A righteous man hates lying, but a wicked man is loathsome and comes to shame. Righteousness guards him whose way is blameless. Nice hat. But wickedness overthrows the sinner. Here's an important note. The reason why I say important is because I've marked it. I have a marking next to it. Alright, living right is like posting a guard for your life. Every choice for good sets into motion other opportunities for good. Evil choices follow the same pattern, but in the opposite direction. Each decision you make to obey God's word will bring a greater sense of order to your life, while each decision to disobey will bring confusion and destruction. The right choices you make reflect your integrity. Obedience brings the greatest safety and security. Obedience. Alright, verse 7. There is one who makes himself rich, yet has nothing, and one who makes himself poor, yet has great riches. And there's a note on there too. Some rich people are poor because they are spiritually bankrupt, while some poor people are rich in contentment and satisfaction. Money brings opportunities and power, but it also has many negative side effects. Money also has many negative side effects. A life full of learning, loving, and serving is better than a life full of money. We forget that one easily. Verse 8, the ransom of a man's life is his riches, but the poor does not hear rebuke. The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Oh. By pride comes nothing but strife, but with the well-advised is wisdom. That was verse 10, and here's a note. I was wrong, or I need advice, are difficult phrases to utter because they require humility. Pride is an ingredient in every quarrel. It stirs up conflict and divides people. Humility, by contrast, heals. Guard against pride, my son. If you find yourself, I lost it. If you find yourself constantly arguing, examine your life for pride. Be open to the advice of others. Ask for help when you need it, and be willing to admit your mistakes. Verse 11. Wealth gained by dishonesty will be diminished, but he who gathers by labor will increase. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when the desire comes, it is a tree of life. Ah, nice hat. Yeah. He who despises the word will be destroyed, but he who fears the commandment will be rewarded. Verse 14. Oh wait, verse 13 that was, and we have a note. God created us, knows us, and loves us. Did you know that? God created us, knows us, and loves us. It only makes sense then to listen to his instructions and do what he says. The Bible is his unfailing word to us. It is like an owner's manual for a car. If you obey God's instructions, you will run right and find his kind of power to live. If you ignore them, you will have breakdowns, accidents, and failures. Verse 14. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to turn one away from the snares of death. Good understanding gains favor, but the way of the unfaithful is hard. Every prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool lays open his folly. 17. A wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a faithful ambassador brings help. The note on that, by the way, this is the Life Application Study Bible, so these are Life Application notes. On verse 17 it says, in Solomon's day, a king had to rely on messengers for information about his country. These messengers had to be trustworthy. Son, I'm trying to talk. Can you not do that right now? I guess he doesn't care. Reliable communication is still vital. These messages had to be trustworthy. Inaccurate information could even lead to bloodshed. Reliable communication is still vital. If the message received is different than the message sent, marriages, businesses, diplomatic relations can all break down. It is important to choose your words well and to avoid reacting until you clearly understand what the other person means. Verse 18. Poverty and shame will come to him who disdains correction, but he who regards a rebuke will be honored. A desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is an abomination to fools to depart from evil. There's a note on that one. Whether a desire accomplished is good or bad depends on the nature of the desire. It is sweet to the soul to achieve worthwhile goals, but not all goals are worth pursuing. When you set your heart on something, you may lose your ability to assess it objectively. With your desire blinding your judgment, you may proceed with an unwise relationship, a wasteful purchase, or a poorly conceived plan. Faithfulness is a virtue, but stubbornness is not. Verse 20. He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. When most people need advice, they go to their friends first, because friends accept them and usually agree with them. But that is why they may not be able to help them with difficult problems. Our friends are so much like us that they may not have any answers we haven't already heard. Instead, We should seek out older and wiser people to advise us. Wise people have experienced a lot of life and have succeeded. They are not afraid to tell the truth. Who are the wise, godly people who can warn you of the pitfalls ahead? Something to think about. Verse 21. Evil pursues sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. 23. Much food is in the fallow ground of the poor, and for lack of justice there is waste. We have a note on that one. The poor are often victims of an unjust society. A poor man's soil may be good, but unjust laws may rob him of his own produce. This proverb does not take poverty lightly or wink at injustice. It simply describes what often occurs. We should do what we can to fight injustice of every sort. Our efforts may seem inadequate. Hey, Michael. Our efforts may seem inadequate, but it is comforting to know that in the end, God's justice will prevail. Isn't that great? Say, yay! Yay! Yay, that's great, Daddy! Yay! God's justice will prevail! Woo! Okay, well now we're on verse 24. We got a couple more. He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly. See, if I discipline you, or I should say when I discipline you, I love you. That's why I do that. That's true. I love you when I discipline you. Here's what it says. It is not easy for a loving parent to discipline a child. It's not easy for me. But it is necessary. The greatest responsibility that God gives parents is the nurture and guidance of their children. Lack of discipline puts parents' love in question because it shows a lack of concern for the character development of their children. Disciplining children averts long-range disaster. Without correction, children grow up with no clear understanding of right and wrong, and with little direction to their lives. Don't be afraid to discipline your children. It is an act of love. Remember, however, that your efforts cannot make your children wise. They can only encourage your children to seek God's wisdom above all else. And the last verse. The righteous eats to the satisfying of his soul, but the stomach of the wicked shall be in want. That is Proverbs 13 for the 13th of the month. Hopefully it filled your spirit and allowed you to learn something. Thank you for joining us. Say bye, Mikey. Say bye. Okay. Scream it to them. Bye-bye. Be blessed.